CS did an update, so I wanted to take a look at the release notes. Let's see if they fixed some stuff, right? So they fixed a few gameplay things. What is this? Devs. Since we have updated the game so much and made it a hot pile of shit, we have decided that Certified Ginge will be our main dev for one day. Wait a second. You know what? I got you guys. I'm gonna fix this game. Let's take a look at what I would do if I was a dev for one day. Hey, you there. While the video is loading, you have some time to subscribe and like the video. I would really appreciate that. Thank you and enjoy the video. Welcome back, Gingies, to a new video. If you didn't get the gist of the intro, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take a look at what I would add to the game if I was a dev for one day. So basically, I'm trying to make this a bit of a fun video and have a bit of imagination, right? So I won't be talking about a good anti-cheat and all that stuff. I wanna talk about stuff that probably won't happen because a new anti-cheat is probably coming and it just seems so straightforward. I want to have some fun and throw out ideas that not a lot of people think about, and maybe you even like my ideas, maybe you don't, but then again, they're just personal opinion and I just want to have some fun with it, right? Also, I'm really interested in what you would add to the game if you were a dev for one day, so let me know in the comments. This can be something that's really not serious. I mean, you could even say I would add portals from Portal 2, like, I don't care. Let's just have some fun. Let me know what you would change, update, add to the game, and let's have some fun together, right? So let's take a look at what I would add. So the first thing I would do is release CSGO, which, I mean, it isn't that much fun and much imagining, but I think it would be a really good idea to just release CSGO as a standalone game. Right now you got games like Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Condition Zero, Counter-Strike Source, you even got the fucking zombie Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Nexon. Do people even still play this shit? I've played this for 9 hours, how? But for some reason they decided to delete CSGO when Counter-Strike 2 got released, which I think is pretty sad because I would still play CSGO, and I think if you would give the availability to people, they would still play it as well. The thing is, there's still some type of way to play CSGO, and I think there's still Faceit hubs left, but for the near future, it doesn't look like those will be surviving, and it doesn't look like they will release CSGO in the near future, so I think we'll have to stick with Counter-Strike 2. Okay, let's get into the stuff that's a bit more imaginatory. Is that even a word? So the first thing I would add is a feature that I would actually add back because it was in CSGO but it got deleted for some reason. I have quite a good guess why it got deleted. If you don't know what I'm talking about the mid-game voice chat. So basically in CSGO what used to happen is when you had a round switch or the game ended, you would be able to voice chat with the enemy team.
Jetzt weiß ich, warum du so rumleckst und du hackst. Du kleiner, verfickter Hurensohn. Geh deine Mutter ficken! Du verfickter Hurensohn! Ich hab deine Mutter gefickt, aber was macht der halt?
So you already see where this is going, right? For some people, it might be a fun feature, but for others, it might not really be that fun. But with this, I want to say that I do not condone any harassment or racism or bullying. So I would have to add some guidelines, which will probably make this a really hard feature to add into the game. But I think it's a fun feature, so I would add it back. Fuck it. Alright, the second thing I would add, and for some reason, they didn't add this to Counter-Strike 2 and I literally have no clue why they didn't do it. I would add a vote for overtime, right? Because right now there's a 1 overtime, and if you don't win that overtime, you tie again and you still have the opportunity to lose Edo, even though it might have been a 1 hour and 30-minute game. Like, that's so stupid. At least give the opportunity to vote for an extra overtime or a tie.
What? I got minus 57 points for what? You got minus 57 points as well? Guys.
Minus 54.
Yeah, minus you have minus, right?
I don't understand. Yeah.
Bro, I hate this game. I don't know what the fuck is this. Why do I have minus points? Why everyone from this game got minus points? What the fuck is this? Lol, I just spent 50 minutes of my life for nothing on shit map on Vertigo that my team never play, in CS2 that is beta, not real game, and I got minus 57 points for fucking draw. What's wrong with this life?
It's kind of the way that Valorant does it, I think, because they have a vote, so you can vote for overtime or a tie. So you give the opportunity to people, if it's like the 5th overtime, that they can vote for a tie. But I think just giving one overtime, it's kind of stupid, man, because what's the point? Eventually the game might still tie up. I think it's way better to add an option to vote for another overtime. Like, you see some of these pro games go into like 6, 7, 8 overtimes, and I think that's really fun, and that's what Faceit and ECA used to be. So why not just put it in Premiere as well? At least give the opportunity to vote.
I don't think he can do it. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the world's longest game of CS2 comes to its logical conclusion. Will be FaZe making their way in towards that upper bracket against Mouse Sports in the next game. That's going to be in about an hour's time, I'd imagine. But still, Anders, I would say that's fair to say it's a historic matchup there.
All right, the third feature is actually something I would change and wouldn't really add, which is something I kind of have a problem with right now in Counter-Strike 2. So 4 stacks are too overpowered for the one player. Let me explain why. So first off, if you queue a game with 4 people, you can't kick the last player. Like the 5th player, the random, you can't kick him. Which makes sense because some people will abuse it, right? You'll just queue with 4 friends and then kick the last one. But here's the problem with that. If your 5th man, the random person, is a griefer, you can't do anything against it. He literally has the whole game in control, and that's a problem because if you play with 4 stack, then this one person has the power over the whole game, which is really insane if you think about it. But Certified Ginge, the best dev in the world, has come up with a solution, and I think you actually might like it. So basically, if I update the game would take in account player damage. If your teammate, the 5th player in a 4 stack, so the random, does too many team damage, you get the opportunity to kick him. So that way you can't abuse it and you can't kick him right away. But if he does enough team damage and he's griefing, you can still kick him. Easy, right? And you might say, yeah, but if you're a 4 stack, you can annoy him and stand in his molly when he throws it and all that stuff. But as you know, CSGO and Counter-Strike 2 don't take this in account as team damage. This way you can still kick a griefer and you can't abuse the system. Easy. So the next feature I would add back, which you might have forgotten about because it was in CSGO but isn't in Counter-Strike 2, is OverWatch. So OverWatch, basically what this did is you were able to watch demos of people that got reported, and then you kind of had to decide if it was enough evidence of them cheating.
Was for hacking. It actually wasn't for griefing. Oh, man. Oh, that's always what it says in the Overwatch report right here? Oh, I see. My bad. I can scroll down. So I can say aim assist, no.
So I would add back Overwatch, but I wouldn't just add back the old one. That's kind of stupid in a video about imagination, right? I would change up Overwatch a little bit. So I would add 2 types. The first type being the old one, where you had to watch demos of cheaters and then convict them, say if it was enough evidence of them cheating. The second one, the new one, being griefers, right? So this is something that ECA used to do. Basically, when you reported a player, you had to give them a reason why you reported them. So I would just add this back, but then in CSGO, basically with the Overwatch. So you would give a reason, people would watch the demos, take a look, is the reason good enough, is it enough evidence, and then the player would get banned. But something that a lot of people have been complaining about, and I kinda am a victim to too, is that a lot of people right now get banned without reason. You can just spam report them and they get banned, right? So if you get reported multiple times in a row for griefing, you get banned, even though you might not be griefing. If you're a well-known person on YouTube, for example, you might get a lot of reports for griefing, then you get a ban. There's no way of checking that you did actually grief.
Your cooldown level will never go down. 2 years later of barely playing the game, it'll still be there. It doesn't matter if you grief or not. If you gain enough reports, you're getting a cooldown. Even if you only play with your friends in a 5-stack, if the enemies report you for griefing, you'll get a cooldown eventually, which makes no sense why the enemy should be able to report you for griefing. This also applies to communication bans.
Which is why I would add this Overwatch. So if a person reports you, gives a reason, and then some people watch the demo and they say, nah, this guy wasn't griefing, this reason is just straight up bullshit. Then the person that did the report, a false report, gets the ban instead. I think this could be a really fun feature to add to the game, and I think it would really solve a lot of problems too, so yeah, why not? So the next thing I would add is more accessibility to the game, right? I would, for example, add a colorblind mode, because for some reason there isn't one. I don't know if people just don't struggle with this game, because I am not colorblind, so I can't really talk about it. But I feel like having the future and having the possibility to be more accessible never is a bad thing, right? Like, can you even still play with a controller? I think they deleted it, so I think this game should be more accessible. If there's any people that are colorblind or they have problems with accessibility, let me know in the comments, because I really want to know what you do and how you play the game. Because I feel like CS isn't that accessible. I mean, you have the option to change colors in your HUD and crosshair, right? But like the enemy view model and stuff, like the characters and stuff, I think it might be really hard to play this game if you're like colorblind and all that stuff, right? So I would add more accessibility. So the next feature I would add is kinda a small one, and it would just be an update, is an AWP buff. Because right now I feel like AWP is just straight up horrible. So I would just revert back to the old AWP and give it 10 bullets again. I know a lot of people have problems with that, and I do understand that, but I am mainly an AWP player, and right now AWP just feels terrible. It's so ass, nobody even uses it anymore. Like, there's so many pro teams right now that don't even have an AWP player, or they have an AWP player that doesn't play AWP anymore. Right now AWP feels really terrible, and that's why I would buff it again. So the last thing that I would like to add to Counter-Strike 2 is another feature from ECA called ruffle. If you don't know what ruffle is, basically when you kick a player or a player disconnects, you have the opportunity to get a replacement player. I would like to put this in the game as well. So how I would imagine it is that there's a possibility to queue for games that are already ongoing. The people in the game, they type ruffle, they get a new player, a replacement. Of course, I don't know if any of you used to play ECA, but if you were a ruffle player, your elo would still be affected if you win, but you wouldn't really get a huge loss amount, or might even not lose elo when you lose, because sometimes the game might be 2-13 and you still have to play like 3 rounds and you get added as a ruffle player. So that's how I would make it work in Counter-Strike itself. Lastly, I would like to say that there's a lot of stuff that I would add to the game, right? Like, I would add cobblestone, I would add cash, I would add a better anti-cheat, but all this stuff is just things that are missing from the game, so they don't seem that fun and that imaginatory, if this is a word. And you might have some problems with the things that I would add to the game, but I think it's just fun features that could be added, things that I would add. If you think some of these are horrible, that is fine, because I do understand that that's why they're not in the game. I just wanted to have some fun and think about features that could be added, right? Okay, and that's gonna be everything for this video. I would love to see you in the next one. Let me know in the comments what you my Gingis would add to the game if you were deaf for one day. And I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Peace.